We're going to be going through a ton of really cool leaked information about secret DLC 5 map packs, different remakes, Tranzit remakes with Bus Route B, different game modes included, a Richtofen Wonder Weapon, just a ton of really cool leaks. This is all cut content from past Treyarch Zombie games, and a lot of this stuff, it's really sick to hear. And again, especially the Black Ops 2 Zombies cut content, secret DLC 5 map packs, dozens of additions that they were going to make to Tranzit that they never got to do. A lot of this stuff we need to see in the future at some point implemented into Cold War Zombies, and we'll talk about those features, those hidden maps, the secrets in this video as well. Very quickly, if we can go for 900 likes on this video, that would be greatly appreciated, and subscribe to the channel for more Black Ops Cold War content. We're a little over 500 subs away from 63k, so hopefully we can hit that very soon. Thank you again for the support. It's been amazing. Shout out to the members as always, and let's get started here. A ton of information to go through. I made a video going through part 1 of Zombies cut content from this guy, Arkham is Coming 2020, over on Reddit. If you want to check out part 1, it's a pretty long video. There's a bunch of information. That link will be down in the description below. This video here is part 2. And there's a lot of information, maybe even more information than the last video. Some more leaks, especially from Black Ops 2, that are expanded upon, and we actually get to understand really what they were going to do with these hidden DLC 5 map packs, game modes, and all different features. So that video, again, will be linked down below, but let's get started here first with Call of Duty World at War Zombies cut content. Juggernaut had a completely different jingle originally. You can actually find it in the files. It was also sang by Craig Houston, and there's a link to a video which I'll leave down below. Check it out. This Juggernaut jingle sounds super cool, and the top comment on that video is someone saying that it sounds like a jingle that should have been in Shadows of Evil. It has a really cool jazzy vibe to it, so hopefully we do get that different variation of the Juggernaut jingle in a future Cold War Zombies map potentially. But next leak here, Shinonuma was going to have an any gun chalk, which pretty much sounds like you go up to the chalk and you could just buy any gun from it, so that sounds pretty interesting. Some cut weapons from the World at War Zombies game mode are the Sten, the Bren, the Linfield, and the Potato. And there's also a cut weapon called Brains, and it was a first-person zombie attack. This suggests that players may have been able to play as a zombie in World at War, which would have been really cool to see. We obviously got turned a couple years later in DLC 1 of Black Ops 2 Zombies. It was also apparently shown in one of the original World at War zombie trailers. Mortar rounds were cut from zombies, and they costed 2,000 points. Originally, the Pack-a-Punch jingle was much longer and had a whole story. Ammo-matic was supposed to appear in Shinonuma and Darius. It gave the player max ammo, and it was for 10,000 points. And finally, there was a cut game mode called Payload. This game mode would have had the player escort a payload for a set amount of time. It's in several of the past World at War Zombies text strings. Now, for each of these games, I want to do a quick wrap-up of what content we would want to see right now in Cold War Zombies out of these past cut content leaks. I think for World at War, the only things I would really want to see in this game at least is this different Juggernaut jingle. That sounded super cool. Maybe a longer Pack-a-Punch jingle. That'd be pretty sick. I don't know what the whole story's about, but that'd be pretty cool, expanding upon the Pack-a-Punch in that sort of way. And obviously the cut game mode. I mean, this could be one of the new game modes that we get in Cold War Zombies Season 1 in a couple of weeks. We're getting multiple new zombie game modes in this next update. So Payload, or at least this idea of what Payload was supposed to be in World at War Zombies, could be one of those new game modes in Cold War Zombies. Now let's go through the Black Ops Zombies cut content. We have Fire Sale originally had a different song that was cut and had a demonic Samantha as the announcer, which would have sounded super cool. Black Ops 1 had a cut zombie type called the Butcher. He was cut and repurposed into George Romero in Call of the Dead. He was later used in the Call of Duty mobile zombies in Tranzit. So the Butcher kind of would have been a really sick zombie, at least a boss zombie. Obviously they got George Romero in, and that was a cool little figure in that map. But look at this image. This is the Butcher boss zombie in Call of Duty mobile zombies when they still had the zombies game mode. It's a super cool zombie. So imagine this huge zombie with a butcher knife coming at you in the game. Honestly, a lot more scarier than George Romero. So that would be cool to see the Butcher in a future Cold War zombies map potentially. Next thing here, Raven has a Black Ops 1 zombies poster with woods on it in their office, which might have been for the original Shangri-La. Shangri-La was also originally going to have teleporters, which is also pretty cool. Concept art for Vietnam zombies in Black Ops 1 was found, and this is now relevant to what we're talking about here, the Vietnam zombies map in Black Ops Cold War, along with concept art for another Pack-a-Punch map layout and wonder weapon for Shangri-La. So I guess this may mean that they had an alternate version of what they wanted Shangri-La to be in Black Ops 1 zombies, and maybe the whole idea of Shangri-La as a DLC map was originally supposed to be a Vietnam zombies map instead of Shangri-La being in the Himalayas and all of the storylines surrounding that map. And maybe for the Vietnam zombies map in Black Ops Cold War, we know it's happening. Firebase Z is in the code. Maybe they're going to go back to a bunch of the original plans they had for a Black Ops 1 Vietnam zombies map, which is really, really cool. Originally, Shangri-La was also supposed to have a buildable chainsaw weapon, which sounds insanely cool as well. Originally, the baby gun was going to have 4 elemental abilities, which would have been super cool as well. The baby gun is a fun wonder weapon, but it does get kind of boring, and it's not that useful, and it does make Shangri-La a really difficult map to go for high rounds. So maybe having the 4 different elemental abilities would have really helped people, first off, enjoy the wonder weapon more and like the wonder weapon more and appreciate it more, and second off, just actually get higher rounds and make it easier to get to higher rounds, because the baby gun alone isn't the best wonder weapon. So that would have been really cool to see. The cut perk Turf Brew was going to enhance the player's resistance to explosive. DTP Boom would do the nuke explosion when prone, and Pronade would make you go prone faster, and these were merged into PhD Flopper. We talked about that in my other video, so pretty cool there, but obviously we have PhD Flopper now. We might get it in Cold War Zombies, so not too big of a deal, and we really don't need those other versions of the perks in this game. The Thunder Gun was originally going to be on 5, and the Wonder Waffle was planned for Kino de Toten. Quotes for these weapons exist in the files. Now, there is talks of a Kino de Toten remake in Black Ops Cold War Zombies. There are several leaks, rumors, evidence in the game as well, so maybe we will actually get a different version of the Wonder Waffle in the Kino de Toten remake. Ascension was originally going to have Double Tap, a Chainsaw, Turf Brew, Candelier, Pronade, the AK-47, a 5th lunar lander location, and a secret 1500 point door. Also, according to Treyarch devs, it started off way bigger and more ambitious than when it shipped. I've said this several times in the past, I would love to see some sort of expansion of Ascension. Not really a remake, but more a reinterpretation of Ascension. Ascension had a really cool concept and the location was really sick, so having a whole new map that has the same type of concept but a lot bigger, a lot more intricate, and with a lot more effort done with today's standards of zombie maps, it would be super cool to see a new version of Ascension, especially in Cold War Zombies. Not a remake. I don't want to see the same Ascension back because Ascension is a classic. I don't want to mess with Ascension, but to see a different version of it in that area would be really, really cool, in my opinion. And finally, for Black Ops 1 Zombies cut content, Call of the Dead was originally going to have a different Easter egg than what we got. And we don't have information on what that different Easter egg was, but it would have been cool to see, how they continued with the story. Was it going to be a significant change in the actual storyline, the ending of the Easter egg, or was it just that the steps for the Call of the Dead Easter egg were slightly different than what we actually got in the game? Let me know down below, what out of this content would you want to see in Cold War Zombies? In my opinion, the Butcher boss zombie would be sick to see. The new version of Shangri-La with all of those features, maybe interpreted into a Vietnam Zombies map, would be cool. and Ascension, if that would ever happen, expanded upon, recreated, would be really, really sick. Now moving on to Black Ops 2 Zombies leaked cut content. Black Ops 2 has so much good content, so many different things to talk about here with a Tranzit remake, different game modes in the game, Black Ops 2's Lost DLC 5 map pack, so much stuff to go through here. Electric Sherry originally had a 1980s disco-themed jingle and was finished, but it was cut because the jingle didn't fit the tone of Mob of the Dead, which is a fact, honestly. A 1980s disco-themed jingle in Mob of the Dead of all maps wouldn't have worked at all and would have kind of ruined the vibe of the map when you approached the Electric Sherry machine, so I'm glad they toned it down a lot. At one point, Power Station from Tranzit could have been played in Survival and Grief, but it was cut from the game, and I don't know why it was cut necessarily. I mean, I get Power Station is a weird area from Tranzit. It's kind of split between the outside of the Power Station and the actual Power Station itself. Town, Bus Depot, and Farm flow a lot better for survival maps, but as a person that loves Tranzit, at least the idea of Tranzit, I think Tranzit objectively wasn't the best map, but it would have been cool, honestly, to see every single bus stop in Tranzit as a separate survival map, so pretty much adding Diner and the power area. So hopefully in the Tranzit remake, we do get a whole new version of that with all different survival maps around the game. Mob of the Dead was originally going to be the entirety of Alcatraz, but Treyarch couldn't do it due to tech limitations, which again is so sad to hear because a common theme with Black Ops 2 Zombies is that they had such ambitious and good ideas throughout the entirety of the game, and they just simply couldn't do it because of the consoles, because of the technology that they had at that point in time. And I would hope that they look back at all of these ideas that we're going to go through right now, and they just think, you know what, if we do all of this now, it would be super, super cool. We have the technology, we have the capabilities to do this, and let's get it done. Because obviously in Black Ops Cold War, you already know that they're adding Rebirth Island as a Warzone map in Season 1 in 2 weeks. And that is the Alcatraz map. That's the Alcatraz map that they were going to do originally for Mob of the Dead. So imagine they take that map and turn it into a zombies map brought into Black Ops Cold War Zombies at some point. That would be really, really cool to see. Now some leaked game modes here. Race mode was a mode that was supposed to be played in the Tunnel of Tranzit, the Power Station, and Farm. Upon spawning in, you would be introduced to the rules by Richtofen and the race began. Every time the player reached a new lap, you'd get feedback from Richtofen. You could score points by throwing Richtofen's head into hoops, which again is just a trans-specific game mode, so I would say this would be pretty cool to see this as one of the new zombie game modes in Season 1 of Black Ops Cold War, but I can't see this happening. If it seems like it's specifically made for Tranzit, and I don't know if they're going to bring back Richtofen's head and allow you to throw his head into different hoops. I mean, it sounds like a really fun game mode that would actually kind of fit the overall fun theme of Black Ops Cold War Zombies, not really storyline focused, just a really fun creative game mode. But who knows, maybe we will get some sort of crazy version of this in Cold War Zombies pretty soon. And another game mode here, a lot of you guys know about this, Meat, was going to be played in town where 2 teams of 4 were split into 2 opposing sides of the map. A piece of meat would spawn on either side and zombies would spawn but go after the team with the meat. The objective was to stay alive for as long as possible and to keep the meat with your team. I could easily see this being added into Black Ops Cold War Zombies, especially if they add Grief, and this pretty much here is a variation of Grief. It's just a different objective within the Grief concept. The Grief concept in Black Ops 2 Zombies was pretty simple, 4v4, stay alive. Meat was kind of the same thing, but just with a new little objective here. You had the meat, it added a whole new element, but it would have been cool to see it in the game regardless, and I think we could see it in the future pretty soon. Another thing here really cool, the Richtofen head weapon in Mob of the Dead would have appeared in Grief, and it would have worked as the map's version of Zombies Flesh. When thrown at an enemy player, it would attract zombies to them, so another really funny thing there. Tranzit originally had the song from the club level in the campaign as the Easter egg song. Originally, Mob of the Dead was going to have an individual Easter egg for each character, but the idea was scrapped, which honestly sounds like such a cool idea. That would have been really cool to see each character having its own Easter egg with different steps and different storyline implications. Tranzit originally had a second bus along with a second bus route. So we know about bus route B, but there was also supposed to be a completely different bus that brought you through to bus route B and to the new locations along bus route B. And again, I would love to see this brought into a Tranzit remake and really see where the bus route B is going to bring us, what these new locations would be, what the bus would look like. Would there be a different bus driver? Is it a different version of Ted? Maybe again, we're going to see a Dark Ether corrupted version of Ted, a zombie Ted. There's a lot of cool stuff they could do with that, honestly. So hopefully we see a lot of those elements brought into a potential Tranzit remake in Black Ops Cold War Zombies. The Commando was cut from the game. Tranzit originally was going to have a lava lake and a giant power factory, and also a motel. Those are definitely going to be 3 extra locations that would have been along the bus route B in Tranzit, and probably if they do a Tranzit remake, they would go back to adding these locations to the new bus route. If you were on the bus and got a power-up, the power-up would stick to the bus. Now, this little feature here is just a quality of life improvement that for some reason they didn't keep in the game. This should have been the case. If you got a power-up on the bus and the bus was moving, that power-up would just be lost on the road, and if you didn't pick it up, you would lose it. So it sticking to the bus would have been a really cool little feature that would have made it okay actually killing zombies on the bus and not having to worry about losing your power-ups. Now, back in Black Ops 2 Zombies, there were supposed to be 2 versions of the Tranzit map. The second version of Tranzit was going to be a daytime version of the map without fog, lava, denizens, and it would have been set before moon. And again, if we get that Tranzit remake, it may be this second version of Tranzit that they wanted to make back in Black Ops 2 Zombies. Now for Black Ops 2's DLC 5, it was going to have remakes of Verrucht, Shinonuma, Doris, and Nocturne Toten. Verrucht would have had a pack-a-punch machine under the power room where the zombie spawn is. Icons for Shinonuma and Doris were found in Black Ops 2's files. The DICE 2015 Summit showed the giant loading screen that was actually the original Black Ops 2 Doris remake loading screen, and once DLC 5 was cancelled for Black Ops 2, Treyarch actually began production on the World at War maps, but only segments of them, and that's how the giant came into production as the bonus map for Black Ops 3 Zombies, which is really cool to hear. So they decided to scrap all the remakes and start kind of making all of these remakes for Black Ops 3, and it seems like they were going to release all of these World at War maps remade for Black Ops 3, but they decided to focus in on the giant and make it into what that map was at the beginning of BO3 Zombies, which is really cool to hear. Sal, Finn, and Billy had cut announcer quotes in Mob of the Dead. There was apparently a cut lantern buildable to scare off the denizens in Tranzit. Mob of the Dead's code had PhD and Mule Kick in the files, but were later cut. Cut quotes for Ted were found and insisted that some cut ideas for the bus were having to fill up the bus with gas and having to pay Ted to use the bus. It seems like in their other version of Tranzit, Ted really played more of a role, and you were able to interact more with Ted on Tranzit, which should have been the case anyway. It would have been really cool to really, utilize Ted, talk to him, have him have, different funny quotes and different things to say, and make him a part of the storyline, because Ted is a character that a lot of people really do know, and it would have been cool to see him just more involved in the actual game. Now for Black Ops 2 cut content I want to see in Cold War Zombies, I mean, it's pretty much all of it. I think all of the Black Ops 2 cut content leaks are so insanely cool. The game modes, all of the ideas for Tranzit, even some stuff for Mob of the Dead are so freaking cool that I just wish they would bring them into the game. So again, Treyarch, if you're watching this video, or if you've seen this Reddit post, and you know yourselves actually, because you guys plan to do this stuff with Black Ops 2 Tranzit, bring it back, please. It would be such a cool thing to see, and even the new players that have never played Tranzit or even heard about Tranzit before would probably love a lot of these cool features here that would be on the Tranzit remake. Now let's go through a bunch of the Black Ops 3 cut content leaks for zombies here. Shadows of Evil was originally harder with harder zombies that sprinted at round 2, and doors also costed more. So this is one of the only cut content leaks I'm actually glad they didn't put in the game. That would have not been fun at all. Gobblegum machines also worked differently with only one on the map and would have moved after a hit, which I don't really like as well. An alternate ammo type called Honey Business was cut from the game. Sound file suggested it was like the multiplayer B's specialist weapon. A cut weapon was the M27 from Nuketown in Black Ops 2 and the MP7. Revelations had a cut chicken coop Easter egg quest. Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man had some cut announcer quotes in Revelations. And finally, a cut perk from Black Ops 3's files was called Liquidity. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the Black Ops 3 zombies cut content, it's not that good. There's nothing too crazy that I would have wished they brought into the game. I feel like there is more cut content that's not included there, but from what we just read, nothing is really standing out that was too crazy that we really missed out on. I think overall Black Ops 3 was a pretty good zombies game, and they kind of perfected it, so it looks like they didn't really need to cut much from the game. They brought everything they wanted in the game, and they made it a really solid zombies experience. Now, Black Ops 4 zombies, Treyarch had official playlists for custom mutations planned. These would have been called Treyarch Custom Mutations. They would have been weekly and an actual playlist by Treyarch that you can complete. Factions were going to let you side with 4 different factions: Bloodfaith, Temper Snowy, Dustspawn, and the First Legion. The factions would have expanded and flushed out the zombies universe. Each event would have culminated in a faction-based narrative, which they literally announced at the BO4 reveal event they talked about, and they just never brought it to the game. And then they later announced it during Season 2 of Black Ops 4 or whatever it was, and then they still didn't bring it to the game, so who knows what happens with factions, honestly. It looks like we're never going to see that there. Originally, they were supposed to be a path from the docks to outside Richtofen's lab in Blood of the Dead, but it was cut in the alpha. And finally, the third Chaos map was apparently cancelled due to being too ambitious for Treyarch to complete. Now, again, out of all of the Black Ops 4 cut content here, I definitely would have loved to see factions actually brought into the game, expanded upon. It would have been cool to see what influence that brought into the game in terms of storyline and how factions would have actually maybe changed the storyline, the zombies universe in some sort of way. And the custom mutations playlist would have been pretty sick, maybe allowing people to promote separate game modes, and then they would do like the weekly game mode. Would have been kind of cool to see that. And finally, Black Ops Cold War zombies cut content. The cut new Panzer, the Mecha Z for D Machina, can be seen in a leaked calling card. Some zombie types that were either cut or repurposed were the new Mimic Zombie, a Summoner Zombie, and a Russian Mech. Cold War allegedly had a survival and a quest type mode, and that was probably cut as well. D Machina apparently had alternate endings to the Easter egg, which would have been super cool to see instead of just the normal exfil that we get at the ending of the D Machina Easter egg. And finally, the shield was supposed to come back at some point, but was cut, and clearly they have the armor system in the game now. That's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy a lot of really cool past cut zombies content that we really should see in Cold War zombies. Again, it would be really cool to see, especially a lot of the Black Ops 2 zombies cut content. I have to emphasize this so much because that cut content is so cool not to return in Cold War Zombies, you know what I mean? Or maybe not in Cold War Zombies, but maybe sometime in the future for the Black Ops 2 remaster that we may get for the 10-year anniversary of Black Ops 2 in 2022. I'll wait 2 years. Honestly, that cut content is super cool not to see. So let me know down below your opinions on all of this stuff. What's your favorite cut content that you want to return in the game? Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment below zombies if you watched this whole video. That's super greatly appreciated, man. Oh my god, this whole video. I mean, there's a lot of good content here, so I could see a lot of you guys actually watching the whole video. Really do appreciate it, guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys in the next video or live stream. Peace out.